So ever since the Switch came out in 2017, I've been collecting controllers for it. This list is my top 5 favorite Switch controllers, according to me. Welcome to the 4-Player LAN party. So, thank you for watching this video. If you find any enjoyment, if you find anything, I don't know, cool about it or whatever, throw a like on there. It doesn't stop the video while you like it, so you can just scroll down real quick, press like. Just a little, thumbs up right there. Smash that like button. You know how they say that, kids nowadays on the YouTubes. Smash that like button. Throw us a comment. Ask us some questions about any of the controllers you see. Would you like to see any other lists? Things like that. And make sure if you find this content and other content from us appealing, or if you, are just interested in seeing what we do next, because we got a lot of great content coming out, make sure you subscribe to the 4-Player LAN party. It's completely free. You have to hit the button right there. Awesome. So without further ado, let's look at some controllers. This is the number 5 controller. This controller is always with me everywhere I go. It's in my travel bag, specifically because it's really easy to transport. And it's baby brother. This is the 8BitDo SF30 Pro gaming controller. So why is this controller number 5? Again, I shot this video and I did a entire diatribe about how much I love this controller, how much it's always with me, but it doesn't deserve to be on the list. And then I realized I made a mistake. I made a huge mistake. I made the biggest mistake of all. And I'm willing to admit it and reshoot a video that took me about 30 minutes to make. But this controller deserves to be on the list at number 5. Every 8BitDo controller is meant to pair with multiple devices. 8BitDo is not just a controller company for the Switch. It just allows people who own Switches to use it for the Switch. But you can also use it for your PC. You can use it for your Mac. It's got a ton of different inputs that you can put it on, and I think you can use it with Linux too. I'm not sure, but what is really cool about this controller is you have full functionality with anything you want to do. It's remappable on your computer, and the software is actually pretty dope. Another really cool reason why this controller is awesome is because of its bigger brothers. You have the the SN30 Pro and the SN30 Pro Plus. These things have removable batteries that you can recharge, or if you want, you could put regular batteries in them. I don't understand why you do that, but it's there. This thing, I've had it for about 3 some odd years, and it's never broken on me once. And trust me, I tell you, this thing is literally beaten to hell. It's been through 3 go bags, and it is the only thing in my go bag that hasn't gone through either a GameStop trade system or has gone through me selling it or trading it away. Just because it's just reliable. Don't get me wrong, it's not the best controller. If I can show you, the ZR and ZL and all the other crap, it's super small. So when you're playing games like Super Smash Brothers, you can sometimes miss a trigger, or you can hit the wrong trigger because they're so close together. And I mean, it is what it is. But it's a really cool, clicky tactile D-pad, which is really important for me. And this thing charges and stays charged for months on end before it dies. 8BitDo controllers are where it's at. And I even threw in the 02. So the 02 is really cool because it's a little if you want to play I don't know, NES Classic or SNES Classic games, this thing is perfect. It's perfect. It's good for platformers. You can use it for most games as long as you don't need to turn your head. Honestly, I like this controller a lot. This controller has a little thing, a little wrist strap. You can also strap it to a backpack. It's just small, so you can literally hide in your hand. Let's say you're playing a game, you're not supposed to be playing a game. It's super cool. I mean, of course, there's a switch there. It's on that, now is just not doing anything, but you can pretend to hide your controller. Number 4 is the most expensive controller on this list, and it honestly shouldn't cost as much as it does. The price barrier is meant for people like myself who can afford to buy controllers like this, but wouldn't buy this controller because it didn't do what the best controllers do. So with that being said, we got to talk about it. It's the PowerA Fusion Pro controller. Now, this controller right here is honestly annoying. Why is it annoying? Yes, it's got a really cool back button situation going on. 4 paddles. Whoa, 4 paddles. Most aftermarket controllers have two. You have a headphone jack on the bottom. Most controllers have that at $50. You get a removable faceplate. I'll tell you right now, this is a $20 controller that I got with a free case that has a removable faceplate and 2 back buttons, and it's wired. So the buttons are stiff. This controller is actually almost the same controller as this controller is, and they're like $80 in difference in price. This controller is actually probably worth like $10 if in the bulk packaging that I bought it in is to be correct. This was only $20 with the case, so it's probably like, let's just split the difference. It's $10. This controller is $100. This is 10 times the amount of this controller. Why? Like, there's no point in this. And there's no rumble at all. There is no NFC connection at all. It does wake the console. I know this one doesn't. It's wired though. But what I like about this controller is it is pretty sensitive. Like, it's pretty good. I was watching a YouTuber who was going around and saying that like the controller didn't like have a full frame of like motion. Like, you couldn't fully motion it through on the Switch, and I checked and I could, so yay. But one of the cool things I like about this controller, one of the reasons why I think this controller deserves to be on this list at all, is it does feel great. It does come with a really cool box, like it says Fusion on it, an extra faceplate, and a USB-C cable for charging. But again, all of this is not worth $100. Like, I would rather just not have the case. Like keep the case, keep your extra faceplate. Hell, keep the wire. Like, you don't need it for this. Like, I get that you want a case because you want to protect these bad boys. It's not worth it. Like, I'm not really ever going to use the back plates anyway. Zelda's controller for cheaper. Right now, it's actually like $70 some places. Even then, it's like kind of not worth it. But I mean, it's got a good grippy texture to it. It feels good in the hand sometimes. The biggest problem with it is it's wide. It's just a really wide controller. But it is a good controller. Like if you're going to play games and you want to have a more premium feel and you just want to spend absorbent amounts of money for no reason, I mean, yeah, it'll work. But yeah, it's not worth the price. Mission. I would still recommend buying it if you just have more money than God. Screw it. With that being said, the number 3 controller on this list is actually just like a controller that mostly everybody has when they get their Switch. Well, everybody has it. You need it. But it's a little twist on a classic, if you will. It's pretty cool. I'm really excited to show this off. It is. No, I'm just kidding. It actually is Joycons. Not these. These are just regular Joycons. But what happens when you take a Frankenstein level of creativity and you match it with shells you find on Amazon for $20? They give you a D-pad. You get these shell swapped Joy-Cons with a clicky D-pad. So I like this a lot. Again, this is a shell swap. So like, I took a gray set of Joy-Cons apart, like you should. I threw away the crappy gray shells and I put them in here so you can see them. And then I went and did some programming and stuff like that and changed the colors of them so the Switch shows green. So now I have green Joy-Cons that are see-through, that have a D-pad. This is awesome. This is really cool because you have the ability to put this on your Switch, walk around with a D-pad fully functioning, because guess what you don't need on a Switch is 4 other buttons to just randomly hand to other people if you have no friends. I have other friends. I do. They do the show. Nonetheless, you should not do a Joy-Con swap if these are your only Joy-Cons. It doesn't make any sense. You're going to screw it up. And trust me when I tell you, the ease of messing this up is, oh my God, it's super easy to mess these up. Now, these are fully motion-based, and I have another set that is just basically just like purple with like multicolored buttons, but it doesn't have a clicky D-pad, so it's not really worth talking about. I highly recommend, if you have the stomach to do this, do the Joy-Con swap. It's totally worth it. And when you do it about once or twice, you really get into a flow. You know how to take it apart and it feels good. I highly recommend this. And just take your time. Don't rush anything. I love these. I use these all the time. And when people see them, they usually think, oh, you have like some aftermarket controller, huh? I'm like, no, these are actually Joy-Cons. And then when I do use motion, I have the NFC compatibility and everything works like a normal Joy-Con because it's a normal Joy-Con just covered in another shell. People are usually like, whoa. And trust me when I tell you, like, this draws attention for all the nerds, not normal people though. But like, who wants to be normal? You know what I mean? So number 2 is actually another controller from PowerA, but this is actually one of my favorite controllers ever. Why is this one of my favorite controllers ever? Because it's so cute, because it's so tiny, because it's so lovely. This is the PowerA Nano Pro controller. Now, why do I love this controller? First and foremost, price amount, around $50 normally. Usually you can find it on sale. You have 2 buttons right here, and then you have like a little turbo button right there as well. It's in the colors of the original Switch. So you have your red and your blue, It's just so cute. And it's tiny, like it fits in your hand so well. Like you play video games and you're like, oh my God, I'm sliding through the buttons like a gazelle. Wow. It's amazing. Highly recommend this controller. Top 5. Definitely number 2 on this list. It just feels good. Now again, this controller does not have a headphone jack. Don't need it though. This controller does not do NFC. Don't need it though. This controller charges through USB-C. Need that. This controller is able to wake my Nintendo Switch. Need that. And it packs well, which again is a necessity for me. I'm literally changing my list. I'm literally re-recording this entire list because I pack my stuff all the time. I didn't take advantage of it when I planned the video. This is important to me. This controller is amazing. Now, why isn't it number 1? Because of the things I mentioned. It is missing things. There are things that it doesn't have that I do love, that I do miss, that makes it so if I'm going to play a certain game, like let's say I were to play Skyward Sword, I wouldn't reach for this. I have a Loftwing amiibo. This would be useless. So I wouldn't reach for this. But here, if I'm going to play Smash, I'm going to reach for this. If I'm going to play Dark Souls, I'm definitely going to reach for this. If I'm going to play any game that involves me having to be like crept up on my controller, like, like Smash or Luigi's Mansion, or, just anything that involves me having to like grip up on this controller, this is coming out. I love this thing. It's freaking amazing. And it's so cute. But yeah, definitely number 2. It is time for honorable mentions. This was number 5 on the list, but it broke before the video and I had to take it apart to fix it. You shouldn't have to take apart controllers to fix them. Now, my co-host and friend Patrick is going to love this because he hates this company with a passion. And they kind of deserve it for their past. And I mean, honestly, for their present, because of, I literally had to take this thing apart, unplug the battery just to get to work. This is the PDP Afterglow controller from PDP. So, why do I love this controller? 1, look at that. It glows. It's a Christmas song. It glows. Look at that. It's beautiful. It oscillates through colors. You can also have it, when you press a button, it changes colors. It's really cool. Like, you can really have some fun with this controller. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. You're not going to get bored with this. It looks great. It's a great player 2 controller if your friends ever come over and you don't have a controller. Not my problem. Not a problem I'm ever going to have, but it's cool to have and it's cool to show off. Now, the thing about this controller is, the reason why it's not on the list, I had to take it apart and unplug the battery. It's in this because the battery, I don't charge things on my Switch. I charge them through USB chargers, like USB dongles everywhere. That's what I use. This is what I do. The USB dongle for this, if you're not using the original charger, if you're not plugging into the Switch, it will cause your battery and it will cause the actual like components of this that you use to pair to your Switch to make your Switch not be able to understand that it's not on. So you're basically gonna have a controller that's always searching for a switch that it's not actually looking for. It does have 2 back buttons. Again, This controller is sub $50 most of the time. You could actually find this controller during Black Friday for 35 bucks at Target. It's not bad, not a bad move. This controller, I honestly like it. It does wake the Switch. I mean, like literally, like if you're watching me hold this thing, it woke my Switch in order for me to do that. It's not a bad controller. I like holding it. It feels good. Don't get me wrong, it is straight up plastic. Like you are getting a straight up plastic controller, but it's wireless. It glows. It's got a really cool gimmick to it that I actually enjoy. And it's a good controller with snappy buttons. I mean, don't get me wrong, the buttons aren't the best thing in the world, but like you actually know and you can hear and you have tactile feel on them. This is a great controller. It just didn't work. And if you don't work, you don't make the list. And unfortunately, this is a problem with Afterglow. I mean, I literally went on Reddit and like there was like 40 people talking about, oh, my controller doesn't work. And then 2 guys were like, well, I took it apart and I did it. And everybody else is like, well, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't take my controller apart. That's the thing. I did a Joy-Con swap. I don't have any fear of breaking things or taking things apart, whatever. Because here's the thing, at the end of the day, I can buy another piece or I can make a piece and I can fix most of the things I take apart and break. Most people can't do that. Most people won't do that. This is a controller that I could see being a very big problem for people where they're taking it back to GameStop if they got a warranty on it, trying to return it, you know, during Christmas, or if anything happens after a year, they're sitting there wondering, oh my God, I bought a controller, this is a dud. All the controllers I've had here, except for the PowerA controller, are more or less a year old now. I've had these controllers for a while. They work very well. The only problem is, there is no problem, except for this one, which stopped working on me about a month ago. I just never really, you know, I'm busy, so I never really thought to fix it, except for this. And then when I had to take time to find a tool set, to take things apart, to unhook it, you know, wait 10 minutes for the battery to basically like bleed off the power on the board, put the battery back on, and it worked immediately. I was like, this is stupid. I can't recommend this to people, even though I actually didn't in my original recording of this video. But here's the thing, we all make mistakes. This is why we have reshoots. The number one controller, the one controller to rule them all. This controller does everything right. And obviously you should be able to guess what it is because I've shown you every other controller on this list. This is the Nintendo Switch Pro controller. It's the controller that's so nice I bought it twice. Why do I love this controller? Why is this controller number one? It deserves to be number one every day of the week. This controller has NFC. It's got motion. It is a beast to perform. Yes, it doesn't have a headphone jack. That's the only thing it doesn't have. And let's be real, Nintendo doesn't even support headphones most of the time. And they gave us Bluetooth. So do you really need a headphone jack right now? Absolutely not. You don't need a headphone jack. Stop telling me you need a headphone jack. It's just not necessary. These controllers are great. You can even sometimes find your favorite game in a special edition. So I did for this. I had to drive 2 hours away 3 years ago, but it still works to this day. I've had no issues with it at all. I've had no issues pairing it. I've had no issues working with it. This controller I actually bought on a Black Friday special because I had a $40 coupon. It was 50 bucks, $10. And I had Target money. I had like extra like Target Circle money. So like it ended up becoming like $6. So yeah, I mean, like obviously the Pro controller is the best controller that you can buy. If you are looking for one controller out of every controller out there in the ethos, you should definitely start with the Pro controller. It's got everything you need in order to continue to play the way Nintendo wants you to, with NFC, with motion controls, with Rumble. Like Rumble. All the other controllers I've showed you don't have Rumble except for the Joy-Cons. That's it. None of the other controllers I showed you have Rumble at all. These have HD Rumble in them. It's a really cool feeling. Like when you're playing video games, the Rumble is different every game you play. And it's not like the Joy-Cons where like you have like, you know, the sensitivity of the ice cubes or whatever, but you have a good quality Rumble in there. And if you're playing Smash, you get hit, you can feel it. Like some people turn that off. I like having it. I like the tactile feel. I like being able to feel things in my hands. I like being able to feel things, man. But I digress. This controller is number one for a reason, forever. And it's just how it is. This controller is super fast. I think it has some of the best latency of any controller that's wireless ever. And if you're gonna own a Nintendo Switch, this should be the first accessory purchase you have, other than a case and a screen protector and another set of Joy-Cons maybe. But no, I'm dead serious. Like this should definitely be, if you want an actual controller, this should definitely be the controller you buy. I know it's expensive. I know it's like 70 bucks normally. So again, the price of entry is crazy, but unlike the PowerA controller that I was talking about before, this price of entry is actually not bad because you're actually getting things for it. I could say, like, let's say the controller is normally like $50, right? Then you're paying the extra $30 for all the features that it comes with, where you can buy a $50 controller that has 0 features. I mean, 0, like it doesn't do anything. Nintendo actually did really good on these. And I've had this almost as long as I've had my Switch. It still works. It still works. Now, I won't lie, there are some tactile features. Having the new one, having the old one, I was able to feel that like the buttons on my older Pro controller are like wearing a little bit because there's no like clickiness to it like there used to be. And this one's clicky. Like, it's not super clicky, it's more mushy, but like there is a little bit of like a give to it. Like, you know, you could feel when you've broken that wall. Where this one you're kind of just pushing through it, and you know it's gonna recess, you know it's gonna come back to you, but you know, like, it's older. It is what it is. So what'd you think of my list? If you liked my list, if you have any questions about my list, if you have a list of your own, or if you want me to do any other lists like the Xbox list, I have tons of Xbox controllers as well. Let me know down in the comments below. Also, again, if you made it this far, please like the video. It does help us out with the algorithm, as well as makes us understand that, hey, we're making good content and we should keep doing things like this. If you want to see more stuff like this, check out the 4-Player LAN Party channel. Hit subscribe. Make sure notification bells are on. And honestly, just have a good day and make sure that whatever purchase you make, you're in love with it, because it's you out there who's deciding your gaming fate. This is Vaughn from the 4-Player LAN Party, signing out.